Do you know what a hydrophone is? Well, just in case you don't, we're about to find out. As a result of a partnership between USCB and Vagabond Cruise, researchers and biology students are able to gather valuable information on the ecology of the Calabogie Sound. Here to talk about some of that research is Dr. Eric Montie. He is a professor of natural science at USCB. Thanks for coming in, Dr. Montie.
Thank you.
What is it that we hope to learn? Well, first of all, I should say, what is a hydrophone, and let people know that up front.
Sure. A hydrophone is basically an underwater microphone that you put in the water to capture sound.
And why is it that we want to listen or eavesdrop on the sounds that are going on in the ocean?
Well, people don't realize this, but the sound in the ocean is very noisy. It's very noisy underneath the water. We don't realize that, and there's a lot of critters that make sound, including things like snapping shrimp, fish, and of course dolphins.
I know some of your research is being done and has been done out on the May River, and you were kind enough to bring along some samples for us. So we're going to take a listen and also a look at those sound waves. The first is a black drum. That's a type of fish, correct?
Yes, it's actually in the family Cyanidae, and it's a drum.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a listen to that now. What is it we're listening to there?
So that's actually a call from a male black drum. The males actually have a swim bladder and a sonic muscle, and they beat that muscle against the swim bladder to make sound. And the males do this to attract females in order to create a large spawning aggregation where they actually will reproduce.
Now I have to ask you, how did we ever figure out that whole connection? Because you're hearing the sound, but how did we know visually that that's what caused the females to gather and lay the eggs so they would, put their sperm on them?
Sure. So scientists have been studying fish sound production for the past 30 years, and they've put two and two together that when you have lots of sound, a lot of times you produce eggs. Okay, and so but that correlation is not always tight, and so we're trying to learn more about, well, what are the steps that cause that correlation to occur? Does sound production occur and the release of eggs occur more like on a full moon or a certain tidal cycle at a certain temperature, a certain season? And so these are some of the questions that we're trying to get at.
So it's actually looking at all those variables, including sound, to see how they contribute.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on now if we could, because you brought another one for us, and this is the spotted sea trout. We'll take a listen to this. In the background of that one, there's a lot of clicking. What's that all about?
So those are, the background is actually snapping shrimp. And so snapping shrimp actually produce sound. They have a claw, right? Big claw, and they close that claw quickly, and it creates these air bubbles, and the air bubbles actually pop, and that creates a sound. And a lot of times that's used again, for mating purposes and also to scare other to defend their territory.
And what about the sounds? Are we hearing the spotted sea trout there, and what's that about?
So spotted sea trout are in the drum family again. They're producing these sounds. The males are producing sounds to attract females and create a big spawning aggregation in order to mate.
What was it like for you the first time you were able to hear something using a hydrophone?
It was amazing. We went out with some students out in the May River, and I was just, during the summer of last summer, and I stuck this hydrophone in the water, and all you could hear was just snapping shrimp and spotted sea trout, black drum. And it was just amazing that the salt marsh is not exactly a quiet place.
I guess not. Finally, we're going to take a listen to a chorus of fish. So let's stop for a second and listen to that.
What we're trying to find out is that there are certain seasons where certain species are making more sound than at other times of the year. For example, the spotted sea trout makes sound pretty much from April to September. The red drum, which we don't have a clip for today, it'll make sound most likely in August. And so there's this whole acoustic ecology set up for example, in the May River, where certain species are making sound at certain times of the year, attracting mates, breeding, and then other species are doing their thing at different times of the year. So by using acoustics, we can kind of learn more about this and the breeding cycles of important recreational fisheries.
Well, Dr. Eric Montie, we want to thank you for your time and joining us on the Low Country Report and really revealing a whole new world to a lot of us through the use of that hydrophone and listening in on the world of fishes. Thank you so much.
Sure, thanks.
Up next, is your library getting a fair share when it comes to funding? We'll hear from one man who says Bluffton and Hilton Head are getting shortchanged. Stay with us.
In the full year 2006, libraries were allocated about 5% of the budget, and in 2012 it's been down to 3.9%. So not only has the overall pie been reduced, but the library's slice of that pie has been reduced even further.